Hi guys, welcome to this introduction video to my beta test, my Let's Play beta test of Perkus Maximus. Now, I first wanted to start off with telling you what Perkus Maximus is, but I think it's a little bit more important to start with what it is not. Perkus Maximus, in its current form, does not use the uncapper. Okay, so the uncap, if you use Skyrim Redone, you know what the uncapper is. All skills go to 100. They don't go any higher. It is not compatible with Skyrim Redone. You know, the main file Skyrim Redone is completely different, and it's put together completely different. So you can't use that. The mod author has, however, stated that parts of Skyrim Redone may be compatible, and partially or fully, and that would be like the standing stones, the racial section, things like that are not dependent upon many of the other aspects of the mod. Now, so what does Perkus Maximus do? Well, to understand Perkus Maximus, we first need to talk about Perkus Maximus, which is the replacement for the Reprocker. Now, it does many things that are similar to the Reprocker that worked for Skyrim Redone. And some of the stuff when I tell it to you will not make sense unless you're a mod author, and also you'll be like, it may not be as important to you. But there's a few points which I will get to sooner than later that actually are really, really cool. Now, the Perkus Maximus does all the things you would think. It modifies the armor stats to make it work with the mod. Creates variants needed for perks in weapons and armor. It reclassifies some weapons and armor so they're classified correctly. Some of the old mods in the original files, some heavy shields, for instance, were classified as light shields, even though they were heavy. So they didn't activate with the correct perk sometimes. That's certain things that needed to be fixed. That type of thing is fixed via Perkus Maximus. Now, weapons, however, are also reclassified into 3 types. There's going to be blunt, bladed, and piercing. Now, weapons can actually also be more than one type. They can be, 2 of those types, or even all 3. There's one weapon that's all 3 types. And perks that affect those type of weapons, either be, blunt or bladed, or piercing, will be affected by that weapon. So you can take those perks if you know you're going to specialize in a certain type of weapon if you're a warrior. Now, the crafting and tempering recipes for weapons and armor obviously are set up and confirmed, and that can be anything also from modded armors and weapons. It doesn't have to be just vanilla. Now, it also will distribute all modded items, such as weapons, armor, and spells, to the correct leveled lists. Now, it also not only will for magic at least, not only will it put the spell books into the level lists, it will also create scrolls, a scroll ability for almost any spell created by a mod. So any modded spells, like Fendrick's mods that he makes with all those great spells, if you use them with this type of Perkus Maximus, it will create a scroll for that spell as well. So it's not just going to be the spell book, but the scroll. And the most important part is it's going to create a recipe for you to create a staff with that spell, which is, to me, the coolest part of this program, the Perkus Maximus, because any spell can now be made into a staff, which is something that I've been waiting for a very long time. Now he's also fixed some exploits that were, could have been used before, such as items that are in your let's see here, that are in your active effects or in powers. They're no longer tied to a magic school, so therefore some of the old glitches and outright cheats cannot be used anymore. Now, what I'd like to do is start with magic, and then move on to stealth, and then warrior. Let's take a look at magic. Now, the mod author Tendo says he did not like how spells often turned into nothing but a stronger version of another spell. Perkus Maximus, he says, is better at keeping all spells useful. So you'll be able to keep using spells that you got, usually as a novice or apprentice, throughout most of your playthrough. If you can pull that off, that'd be great. Now, I do know that one way he can do this is that perks may add passive boosts that add new functionality instead, and sometimes eliminate a spell weakness. Like, for instance, you can add a spell weakness for frost is that Nords have a natural resistance to frost. So using frost in Skyrim was sometimes not exactly the most logical thing to do. You did it usually because you wanted to roleplay. But frost was usually the least used item. But what he's saying here is that some of these perks will work to make frost resists less of a problem. It'll focus on that instead of just saying, frost spells do 20% more damage or something like that. It'll be targeted towards those resists. Now, two important aspects of the magic in the magic area here is spell cost scaling and focus perks. Now, spell cost scaling is basically, for the most part, not done. It's your spells are not going to be reduced in how much they cost, how much magicka they cost. There is a few exceptions, but for the most part, for instance, the novice destruction, instead of reducing the skill cost of your novice spells, what it does is it gives you a random spell when you click on it, and it also is a prerequisite for other perks for you to choose. So that's all the way up through the master. So you're going to need these perks anyway if you want to be a master destruction mage. The other thing is what does increase with skill level is not the reduction in spell cost, but the magnitude. So, for instance, my shock spells are going to get more potent over the higher my skill level, but they will still be the same exact cost as they were in the beginning. That I actually like. I think that's a good way of doing it. Now, the focus perks, which, I'll show you a focus perk here, because this is one that's been advertised on video, in a video that he made on YouTube. These are extremely potent and powerful spells or abilities or buffs that are given, or it could be a combination of all or a few. These are added when you get to the master level of skill, and you can only usually choose one. The exception is alteration. Alteration gives you the ability to choose a second one, not just one. But these are basically one per character unless you take alteration. You cannot have all the focus perks. Even no matter how, no matter if you have 100 skill level or not, it doesn't matter. You can choose one, and that's it. And that goes across all the skills. I mean, warrior skills have a similar type of function as this, and so does stealth skills. So you need to be sure of what you want before you choose it. Now, in this case, this type of thing, which I'll try to find the video and I'll put a link to it so you can see what I'm talking about, is a spell that allows you to call an Oblivion Gate, and the Daedra will come through the Oblivion Gate and destroy your enemies. Now, they are uncontrolled, so even if you approach it, they're going to try to kill you. But it's something that, and it's considered a crime to cast it. So it's not something that could be used in every situation, but it is an extremely powerful spell. And it's something that I'm seriously thinking about getting in my Let's Play. Now, the stealth skills are going to be similar in many ways as I was just discussing the magic skills. There's not a lot of information about stealth or warrior skills. This is a general overview. But their perk system is called Prodigy instead of the focus perks. So if you're choosing a Prodigy, it's similar to how it works with the focus perks, but it can give you other perks, access to other perks in the perk tree earlier than normal. They instantly give access to mid to high level perks, but they can't be selected if you already have one of those perks, if there's multiple perks involved. So now, like in this case, let's see here. It says the pilferer. While no true thief, your quick hands are built for holding coin and snagging weapons from folks that might want their gold back. So I believe this one gives you the ability to have gold weigh nothing. And that's going to be in this type of tree as well. Now, also, there are some things that are different in the stealth area, and there's some that are the same. One that is the same is that shouting grants speechcraft XP. So that was in Skyrim Redone, and it's here again. Now, also, the couple that were not, however, was that gold actually does have weight, hence the perk I was talking about just before, of 0.01 pound per coin, and lockpicks weigh half a pound each. So you could potentially, if you have too much gold on you, have very little weight ability to loot. Now, sneak attacks are treated a little bit differently in this. I know there's a lot of stealth players out there that love to be sneaky. The way it works in this new mod is it depends on what type of armor the target is wearing and what type of method you're using to do a surprise attack on them. So for instance, light armor opponents are going to take more damage than heavy armored opponents. And if you use, for instance, a dagger, it's going to do more damage than like if you're using a spell. Things like that. It does vary depending upon situations. Now, but also sneak attacks on the undead are much less potent. I even played myself a Khajiit character where I went through Bleak's Full Barrow and I just killed I went up to each Draugr and I just killed them in their cove and woke none of them up until I got to the very end. And I'm glad that they did this, because that type of play is kind of it gets kind of boring after a while, in my opinion. That's just me. You could have a different opinion, which is fine, but I think it's a little bit more realistic that undead should be able to take much more damage than a living being. And warrior skills. They have what they call mastery perks, which are also similar to focus perks and that are also similar to focus perks, and prodigy perks. Again, only one per character. Now, the critical hit damage scaling with weapons does change with the skill of that weapon, of that, so heavy weapon, higher I am in heavy weaponry, the more critical hit damage I'm going to get. And each weapon also has a debuff rating, and the armor, whether it be light or heavy armor, does have a slowdown effect on your character. Of course, if it's heavy armor, you're going to get much more protection, but you're going to be a lot slower than if you have light armor, and you're going to be able to move a lot quicker. Now, they've also introduced unarmed weapons, so I am extremely excited about this, which I can't wait until I can do another character. I'm going to do probably an unarmed, like monk type character if I can, and they introduce like brass knuckle type of things, claws, knives, a lot of different types of weapons that are attached to your hand. So it's unarmed damage, but with a true reason why your damage would get much more higher. Unarmed in Oblivion and in Skyrim, and as well as Skyrim, were kind of because you were pretty much using your bare fists, and you had a kind of, if you're especially a role player, you had to basically make up a reason why you could kill people with your bare hands that quickly. So, and I never really enjoyed that as much. So this I'm looking forward to, though. Now, that is kind of just a quick introduction to a lot of the new features and the way it works. And I did this mostly so you could understand when you watched my videos, a little bit of what was going on, since there is some big differences between this mod and Skyrim. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments section. If I haven't said it before, I will have to say it now. However, this is a beta, so things will change. And also, since it's a beta, I have been instructed that we are not allowed to go through the perk trees and discuss in video what each perk means and what it does. I'll be glad to show you once I'm in when I'm in game, if I get a power or something related to my perks that I can use, show it to you and maybe explain it a little bit. But I can't make videos that are just about the perk trees and what they do. So please, don't ask me to do so. That's something that the mod author has specifically stated. Okay. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the videos, and I hope you enjoy the Let's Play. And if you like any of my Let's Plays or my videos, please let me know I'm doing a good job. I'm kind of new at this, by giving, like, sharing, subscribing. Just give me an idea that I'm doing a good job and you're enjoying it. And I'll see you guys then.